Word Church. This is Pastor Steve here with our Monday Minute for October the 26th, 2020. Hard to believe that we are already at the end of another month here, and we're looking forward to the month of November. We know we've got Halloween coming up this Saturday, and however you choose to celebrate that with our kids, especially during this time of pandemic, we hope that you do so safely and enjoy it as much as we can. While we're on that note, I do want to thank Katie and Mike Fillion and all of the volunteers who helped us to have a very successful Camp Newburgh haunted drive-thru in our parking lot this past weekend on Friday and Saturday. What a successful event beyond any of our expectations here. We had over 200 cars and collected thousands of pounds of food for gleaners as a result, and that could not have happened without the hard work that Katie and Mike had put in and all of the volunteers to be able to be there on those days. So thank you once again. It looks like we might have a new tradition going forward. As we approach the month of November, we have a lot of things that we're going to be celebrating, starting with All Saints Sunday this coming week on November 1st during our worship service. On November 8th, we will be broadcasting our confirmation service. It's been a long time in coming, and we were finally able to work out to get our young people confirmed. We look forward to bringing that to you on November 8th. Also, during that week, we are going to be kicking off our kids' Christmas gifts drive that we do every year. It's hard to believe that that time is also coming up on us already. So look for more details about that from Reverend Gassaway, either in our email newsletter, on the website, and social media. We are also going to be looking at alternatives for our Thanksgiving dinner, since we're not going to be able to gather together in person this year. We still want to meet the need of those who are in need of that food to have a nice meal, and also those who are still in need of that outreach. And so look again for those details and how we can help as we reimagine what Thanksgiving dinner is going to look like for this time in the pandemic. The other thing that we're going to be doing on November the 15th will be our Commitment Sunday, which finishes up our stewardship campaign of Vision 2020 2.1. We kicked that off just this past week, and over these next couple of weeks, we'll be talking about our stewardship and how it is that we can fulfill our vision for 2020 and how we can have a renewed vision, a new vision, for going into the year 2021, hence the term 2.1. As we get into that this week, I wanted to share a little bit more from our scripture passage that we read from the book of Acts. On the day of Pentecost, Peter responds to those who are trying to take away from the disciples who are speaking in tongues and sharing the good news about the risen Christ, and dismissing them as they are drunk. But no, in fact, Peter says, this is happening exactly as the prophet Joel said, where your old men shall see visions, and your young men shall dream dreams. Now again, that's pretty gender-specific language. We, of course, today see that as all people, men and women, and the inclusiveness that is located in there. But I wanted to talk a moment about what it means for our stewardship and having a clear vision going forward for the rest of this year in 2020 and into 2021. A lot of the things that we've been reading about our stewardship and our giving is about having a purpose and about sharing what things we can actually accomplish or we're hoping to accomplish as we're asking for money. Sometimes these are tangible things, like a building project for that matter, or it's a tangible mission, like our annual missions that we have normally done for Appalachia Service Project, or for the Motown Mission, or for our adults going to Midwest Distribution Center, or up in the UP to God's Country Cooperative Parish. Those are tangible things that we can identify. And those are certainly great ministries, and part of our hope is that we will continue to support those ministries. But the other part of visioning and dreaming is understanding that we don't entirely know what God has in store for us in the days and the months and even the years to come. I think 2020 is no greater example of that as well, as we all had the belief that something great was going to happen, and then as soon as we finished with our stewardship campaign, that we had hoped to shift for this year, the pandemic hit and things had to stop. We have no idea what God had in store for us here, and we've had to adjust. And that's part of the problem with visioning and dreaming, is there's no concrete answers. But part of our giving, and our giving specifically to God's church, is to realize that there are so many unknowns out there. And so while we give to the missions that we have supported, we're also being open to the possibility that God is going to open up new things for us that we never even had dreamed about or imagined. But somebody had. And God has given that vision, and God has given that dream to those who want to fulfill that mission. It might be something new. It might be something simple. Or it might be something that nobody had ever thought to try or that could work before. But God lays that out for us in several different ways. As an example, as I've repeated, we had no idea how this pandemic would affect us. And we had worried, and I think we are still a little bit worried, about how has it affected us financially. But in terms of our outreach, forcing us to ramp up our online strategy far sooner than we had even thought to do, we have made tremendous progress, far more in our outreach than we ever could have imagined. And what we need to do is turn that outreach into engagement. Engaging in our ministries and finding new and creative ways to do things. Our staff has been hard at work over these last couple of months trying to find new and creative things, like our Camp Newburgh haunted drive-thru that we probably never would have even thought of before. Trying to reimagine how we can do Thanksgiving dinner. And yes, we are reimagining how we're doing Advent and Christmas during this time. And we look forward to bringing some of those new things to you in these coming weeks and months. But as we look ahead to 2021, we also have to be clear that that vision has to project out into the future. And we still do not know what God will have in store for us. Yes, we have some short-term goals that, God willing, and the creek don't rise, shall we say, we can get this pandemic under control, and we can get back to some sense of normalcy with in-person worship. But in the same token, I think it's been clear that God is showing us that getting back to in-person worship is not something that should just be a goal for us, but it should be a way to enable us to further our outreach that we already had. We don't want to just go back to business as usual. We want to build on the momentum as well as get back to our familiar so that together we can see visions and we can dream dreams that we never thought possible. But we cannot do that without your help. We cannot do that without your generosity. It is our goal to continue to envision these new ministries and find ways to reach out to our community in a new way. You'll be hearing more about that in the coming weeks. It is also our goal to continue to expand our online outreach, which we had set as a goal at the beginning of 2020, and we have only begun to see the tip of the iceberg in terms of what we can accomplish with that. So we still want to move forward doing that. It is also our goal, yes, to get back together again, but to use the momentum that we have so that we can be sent out and to continue to envision new missions and new ministries for our future. But if we are unable to meet our ministry share obligations and unable to meet our basic needs that are at Newburgh Church, then that cannot happen. So if you ask the question, what is it that you are giving towards and what goals do we have? Well, we have some concrete goals, but we also have something bigger than that. We have the openness to be listening for God's vision for us in the rest of this year of 2020 and also into 2021. We have the ability to dream about what is possible, knowing that some of those things will be successful and some of those things won't be successful, but we still are willing to dream. We still are willing to vision for a future that is out there and a future that will bring more people into the fellowship of Jesus Christ and will bring more people to know that Newburgh is a place where they are loved and they can be loved by God, no matter who they are. An open and inclusive church that tells all people that we recognize Christ in you. So as we go through this week and as we go deeper into our stewardship campaign, let's keep that vision. let's keep those dreams coming. And let's imagine what new possibilities we can have for God's vision for our future, not only for the remainder of this year, but in the year to come. God bless and have a great and safe week. Happy Halloween. We'll see you next time on November 2nd for our first November installment of the Monday Minute.